is filled with opportunities for dazzling nights, dancing to vaguely awful music, and ridiculously overpriced costumes. Most likely, some of your best memories from high school include homecoming or prom. When we see these events, we think of uplifting scenes from movies like Mean Girls, Pretty in Pink, or the more dramatic of us, Carrie. Still, there's one day of the school year that flips all social norms on their heads, or so it thinks. Sadie Hawkins Day. A fun-filled night where the girl gets to ask the guy what could be better. Turns out, almost anything. Welcome to the Chant's newest video series where I share my overly cynical but completely rational view on life and why the things we love aren't as amazing as we think. This is Spoilers. Our story begins long ago in the year 1937. The Great Depression was in full swing, swing music was growing, and artist Al Capp had published his next comic strip for his series, Lil Abner. In the strip, Capp introduces one Sadie Hawkins, the homeliest gal in all them hills. And her father, who is so concerned about the prospect of his daughter being a spinster, aka a crazy cat lady, that he created a day in her honor. It seems like a sweet, concerned parent until you realize that the day involved women literally chasing after bachelors. And there were no roses involved. Any man that a woman caught was legally hers to marry. This is kind of a mess for consent on both sides, but worse for the men who had no say in who they would legally wed. Still, holidays and comic strips can't exactly be judged for their ethical ideas of romance, or lack thereof. But Sadie Hawkins didn't stop there. The day grew in popularity for some odd reason, and by 1941, the University of Alabama and over 500 colleges and clubs celebrated the holiday. Lil Abner himself spent 11 years running from his Sadie Hawkins sweetheart before finally deciding to marry her in 1952. The dance part came into the strip a couple years after the race, and was traditionally the night before. It was a time for women to wear boots with nails on them to step on the feet of their bachelors so they might catch them the next day. Interestingly enough, Sadie Hawkins didn't start out as awful as it sounds. In the majorly sexually repressed 1930s, coming out of the freewheeling 1920s and into the Great Depression, giving a girl an option to ask a guy out was actually pretty important. But that doesn't change the fact that the comic strip started as political satire about a woman's right to assert herself and has no place in today's society. Obviously, most schools don't put on races for men anymore, but Sadie Hawkins dances have become fairly popular nationwide, taking a plethora of different names including Sponge Dance, Harvest, Turnabout, and vice versa. Bowling Green State University in Bowling Green, Ohio hosted the dance every year from 1939 to 1963. The tradition is supposed to be a woman empowering day, but nowadays it reflects a very backward way of thinking. The fact that women need permission to ask a guy out to a dance only perpetuates the awkward social norms that on any other day, a girl needs to wait for a guy to ask her out. There's no reason that a girl can ask out a guy, or a girl for that matter, on any day to any dance. There shouldn't need to be a day when it's allowed for women to act a certain way. Furthermore, Sadie Hawkins has often been thought of as the wallflower or the less attractive girl who needs to ask a man out because she can't get a date for herself. I mean, just look at the way Cap drew Sadie. Sadie Hawkins does seem like a nice way to get the stress of dances off of men, especially when you look at alternate names for the dance include the woman is required to pay or women pay all. Side note, the economic irrationality of these dances for both genders is a topic I will cover when we get to prom season. Still, this tradition reinforces gender roles that hurt both men and women. If a man doesn't ask a girl out for a dance, he's often seen as not masculine enough. Girls are stereotypically expected to wait for the guy to man up and ask them, or to partake in what Monica Moore of Webster University calls perceptive behaviors, including smiling, hair flips, glances, and raising eyebrows, as opposed to the risky initiative. Andrew P. Clark of Brunel University in London found that these behaviors were most effective in making one more attractive when done by women as opposed to men. Furthermore, Dr. Michael Mills of Psychology Today asked 76 college students, 31 males and 55 females, whether or not they prefer to ask someone out or be asked out, and 93% of the women said that they prefer the latter. For many students, Sadie's is a fun way to ask a guy they like to a night of dancing, but we can't forget that this holiday comes out of a rich history of sexism and enforcing awful gender roles. Cap himself had a rough history with the female kind as a womanizer, misogynist, and accused rapist on multiple accounts. He slept with college-aged women that he would meet while touring to talk about Sadie's, and sexually harassed both Goldie Hawn and Grace Kelly. Female empowerment shouldn't be only allowed on one day, it should be encouraged every day of the year. No woman needs to wait for permission to ask a guy out. To truly make a change, take the courage that you have on Sadie's and use it to destroy the idea that women can't initiate relationships. It's time we moved out of 1937.